Hi, I'm Becky Stern, and today we'll be talking about an important step to finishing any electronics project, creating the perfect enclosure. Here are several ways to keep your project safe while making it function from the outside. Let's start with the most accessible enclosures made from materials you find around the house. For instance, plastic takeout containers make great prototype enclosures. No matter what material you're using, basically you just cut holes for wires and external interface components and mount everything inside using hot glue or double-sided tape. Recycled cardboard can provide a simple enclosure too. You can cut it into custom shapes and sizes to accurately fit your project size, or just use a recycled box. The box for this Arduino kit is also the enclosure. Yay. Foam core board is also an inexpensive material that can be easily cut and shaped. Foam core enclosures are lightweight yet sturdy, making them a better long-term choice than cardboard. For working with all three of these materials, I recommend a sturdy utility knife and a cutting mat, as well as a metal ruler for making straight cuts. Notice that it's important to cut it with your favorite ruler. Be very careful to keep your fingers out of the path of the blade. I made that mistake once. You only need to make it once. You might find that making a disposable prototype enclosure helps you visualize your project and iterate on your user interface without a lot of investment or waste. Then you can head into the process of making a more sophisticated enclosure with a more certain idea of what will work. For a more polished and less DIY appearance, consider ready-made electronics project enclosures. These can provide a cleaner and more professional look and often already have mounting spots for your circuit board. But your search shouldn't stop at boxes designed just for electronics. You can also get clear plastic boxes designed for memorabilia display, like for hockey pucks and baseballs. I'm particularly fond of using Shadowboxes as electronics enclosures because they offer a nice-looking display while being easy to add your components. You can use the glass along with some printer paper to diffuse some LEDs, or leave it out to provide access to touch buttons and knobs. When drilling into plastic, I recommend using a step drill to avoid cracking it. These cone-shaped drill bits also work well on metal project boxes. Laser cutting is a popular option for making enclosures, often from thin plywood, sheet acrylic, or even cardboard. There are a handful of laserable box generators online that make it easy to create an appropriately sized box based on your project dimensions. For a totally bespoke enclosure, 3D printing your own box is an excellent option. First, use calipers to measure your project's dimensions. You need accurate information to create the perfect fit. Record the length, width, and height of your circuit board, as well as the clearance needed and positioning for any components that need to protrude to the outside of the enclosure. Make a sketch of your object and use it to record the relevant dimensions. Even if it's just a rough diagram, it will help you find or design a project box that will fit. Next, use a free 3D modeling program like Tinkercad or Fusion 360 to design your enclosure. Make sure to include necessary mounting points and openings for your switches, connectors, and LEDs. Be sure to include a little extra space called tolerance, since in real life, the parts need to sit next to each other and can't overlap. You'll find some exquisite examples of custom enclosure design online. Sometimes they have space for specific fastening hardware like nuts and bolts or heat set inserts. 3D design is a big topic, too big for me to do justice in a short tutorial video like this one, so I've put some links to resources for learning more in the write-up that goes with this video. But my basic strategy is to make a hollow box with holes in the right places. Once you have your enclosure in 3D, you can print it out yourself or send off the file to be printed for you. The digital design will become a physical copy. Then you can put your components inside and determine if any revisions are needed. It's normal to make several iterations and make some improvements along the way. If you want my recommendation for getting into 3D printing, it's to get a basic FDM machine and some PLA filament, then branch out to different materials from there. Set it up in a space with ventilation, even just an open window. Beyond 3D printing, you could also consider CNC milling for your enclosure as well. I've seen bespoke wooden and metal enclosures made this way that turned out super nice. So there you have it. We've covered some great options for creating your project enclosure, from free DIY solutions to entirely custom ones. I've put some links to resources in the description. Leave your advice about creating project enclosures in the comments so we can all learn together. Check out the playlist with the rest of the series and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.